Recorded on Facebook, so let's get back into the content of the meeting. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Wonderful.
So good evening to all the present, all who are present here, all the guests and the special guests who will be speaking this evening, and welcome to this discussion on Dularia. Dularia is a beautiful concept, a beautiful project, and we all have been waiting for it. Our green earth is full of meadows with flowers, and the meadows are aglow with flowers of all hues. The flowers come out as buds, they grow and blossom to glory, and then they wilt away. Their fragrance lingers and wafts in the air for long. This is the translation, English translation of a traditional Santali song called Bahabagan, which means a field of flowers. And this song has been adopted as an anthem of Dularia, born out of love between the sun and the moon. Dularia is a dream that is being put to shape bit by loving bit by Sharmishta Dattagupta and her team. Sharmishta Dattagupta, let me introduce her to you. Welcome, Sharmishta, in our webinar this evening. Sharmishta Dattagupta holds a PhD in biology and is a leadership coach by profession. She completed her assistant professorship in geobiology in 2014 and started spending 6 months of the year in India. She found immense joy when she started voluntary work at a Santhal school near Shantiniketan. In 2018, she took the decision to strike back her roots in India. And that is when Dularia came up as a bud in her mind. She founded Dularia after 4 years of volunteering with Santhal children and women, where she noticed their immense capacity for creativity. I hope she will tell us about all that. And she also noted the challenges they faced related to self-confidence and personal expression. Now, as a leadership coach, she knew that she would be able to make a big difference here. Now, she participates and coordinates in all Dularia-related activities as she loves learning and connecting with the Santhal people and with nature. Like Gandhiji, Sharmishta listens to her inner voice to guide her, and she works on her own belief system. She says she is not an activist, but an experimenter. With Sharmishta, we have today her team members, Saraswati Murmu Baski, Jethu Baski, Iti Malo, Sona Murmu, and also Abhinanda Bairagi. Welcome to all of you. I would request Sharmishta to introduce her team members and then tell us how the idea of Dularia took shape, first in her mind, and then on the plot of land gifted to her by her parents, who are also there with us today. Now, some of the participants will speak in Bengali, but there are some among the guests who do not understand Bengali. So there is somebody, Ishani, who will do a quick translation on the chat box. So please keep an eye on the chat box. And if necessary, we will also paraphrase some of the discussions into English later on. So over to you, Sharmishta.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity to speak here about Dularia and for all the support you've given us, Shubhamashi. It's a real pleasure for me to be here. And I would like to start today's meeting by saying that Dularia is a collaborative project and it could not be possible without the beautiful work being done by our local team. So I will go ahead and first introduce the local team and ask them to say hello. So first of all, I invite Dr. Abhinanda Bairagi to just say hello for a moment.
Hello, I'm Dr. Abhinanda Bairagi and I am joining this webinar. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
And further, I would like to invite Saraswati Murmu Baski, our leader, to say Johar to our audience. Saraswati, ekটু Johar bole দাও সবাইকে.
Johar.
And then Jethu Baski, our manager.
Johar, সবাইকে.
Then our Shona Murmu, who is our very valued team member.
Johar.
And Iti Malo, our youngest and very enterprising team member.
Namaskar.
Thank you, everyone. So I'm going to start today's presentation, and then I'm going to hand it over to my team members to speak their bit. And so today I will start by giving an introduction, a short introduction on Dularia. And Shubhamashi has already done a great job with that. So I'll just get into a small presentation on it, first of all. So before I begin, I would request anyone who is not speaking to please put yourself on mute, because that might help us with the sound quality. Thank you so much. So Dularia is a word in Santhali, and it means created through love. In their mythology, it is the original love between the sun and the moon that created all living beings on this planet. So Dularia is a project that is dedicated to loving all living beings on the planet, not just humans, but all animals and plants and everything in nature. This started when in 2014, as Shubhamashi mentioned, I started volunteering in a school called RSV, Rolf Shom Vidyashram. I owe a lot of gratitude to this project because they hosted me there and I got to work with the children. And here you can see me as a biologist, as a former professor of biology. I had access to a microscope and I brought it into the school and I simply let the children play with it and look at the insects and plants and all that they could notice under the microscope. And this caused so much excitement, and we ended up watching several documentaries on animals and plants by David Attenborough. And eventually we did this wonderful theater in which each of the children adopted being at one particular animal or plant or a fungus or bacteria in the ecosystem. Here you can see Reena. She has dressed up as a peacock, and you can see the incredible creativity of these children. She has made her peacock feathers using palm leaves. She has drawn herself a mask, and we performed this amazing theater to music and dance of the Santhali people. I followed that with several different workshops with the children over the years. And here's a workshop where I had the children design and make their own vermicomposting pits. So each of the children made their own pits and it was fantastic. This is a child in 5th grade and look at what he has managed to construct using materials that are simply found on the school campus. And these are all waste materials. So they were not given a single rupee for their budget. They had to make everything with what they found on the plot. Again, you can see this incredible diversity and the amazing capacity of these children to be creative with thrown away materials or natural materials. I followed that with several workshops where I was invited. So as you know, I'm also a leadership coach by profession. And I've been doing leadership workshops with corporates and academics from all over the world. And I decided to go and volunteer in the interiors of villages in Jharkhand, where I was working with big groups of Santhali men and women who sometimes walked more than 30 kilometers to arrive for these workshops. Here I am speaking to a group of Santhali women, and these are all women who are working under very, very dire conditions. They are under life-threatening conditions sometimes because they try to protest against police violence, and they really have a tough job, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for them. What I discovered while speaking to them was that they have so much to give, and yet there is something that is lacking, and that is the lack of self-expression, the belief that I, as a person, dare not express myself. And this was the belief we were working on during this workshop. And after attending several or facilitating several of these workshops, I realized the tremendous challenges facing the Santhal community of India, which is the largest tribal community in India. And there are several different tribal communities in India, so not to say that none of them face challenges, but this is just that in this particular project, we are surrounded by villages of the Santhali people. And so therefore we focus on them, but this knowledge can be spread to just about anybody who is in need of this knowledge. So what I found out is some of these children I was working with, and some of these women who have attended my workshops work under very dire conditions, under exploitative conditions, either in mining or in rice farming. Rice farming is something they actually enjoy, but they're standing for hours with their legs and their bodies in close contact to very toxic pesticides and fertilizers that cause severe rashes on their skin, and several of them end up in hospital with very severe conditions and life-threatening conditions. Along with that, there is now a huge threat to the groundwater in West Bengal. In many states of India, groundwater has completely dried up because people are using up groundwater from sometimes 100 meters deep, 60 meters deep. These are deep tube wells that have been dug to grow hybrid varieties of rice. Earlier, rice used to be grown only during the monsoon season, and now it's grown throughout the year, artificially pumping groundwater. And this groundwater is now very salty in nature. It causes the land to crack and dry, and it is also getting depleted, and therefore is causing perhaps impending drought and severe damage to the farmers. So we really do need some urgent solutions. And what we did is in Dularia, after 4 years of volunteering and exploring, identified 4 different challenges facing the Santhal community. One is a lot of health hazards being that they're exposed to especially due to the kind of toxic farming that they are doing as farm laborers. The environmental degradation that's happening everywhere due to the reasons I've already mentioned, and a low sense of self-esteem and less opportunities to express themselves. And so as a result, we thought, well, every challenge is always an opportunity. So in Dularia, we converted all these 4 aspects into opportunities, and we identified 4 different cornerstones. These cornerstones are education. So Dularia is an educational plot where free education is given to farmers from all around the area, all over Jharkhand, anywhere, who would like to learn natural methods of farming that are not only great for their own health, but also are going to be able to produce food that is healthy for the consumer as well. We are addressing some very serious issues related to the environment. We are a project which is fully believing in empowerment. So today you can see that I'm actually sitting somewhere very far away from Dularia. I'm in Rishikesh in northern India, far away from our team, which is sitting in Shantiniketan, because they are the ones who manage the project 100%. And you will hear them speaking later, and you will realize the incredible capacity and the incredible level of empowerment that they feel from being in charge of Dularia. And the other aspect, the 4th cornerstone of Dularia, is enterprise. And you'll also hear our team members talking about how they are going to be able to set up micro enterprises to gain income using the techniques that we teach at Dularia. So Dularia is based on principles of permaculture. And I'm not going to go into all of the detailed principles, but I'll bring your attention to 3 core values. In everything that we do in Dularia, the first question we ask ourselves is, how is this going to impact Mother Earth? So everything we do keeps nature as the central theme of our decisions. The second aspect is people care. In people care, what we mean is that everything we do is meant for the community, and everything we grow is meant for the community. And fair share is a third core value. And what do we mean by fair share? By fair share, we mean that what we need for ourselves, we use for ourselves, but there's always a bit of excess. And this excess is then always devoted to those who require it. So some examples of how we exemplify fair share in Dularia. So for example, we have been growing arhar, which is a very nutritious lentil, and we grow it along the fence so that those who require this lentil can just pick it and eat it, and the leaves are excellent medicine for jaundice. We encourage everybody to come into our plot and take what they need from there. We also have a fair share system with animals and plants. So a small portion of our plot, even though we have a tiny plot of less than an acre, is devoted to animals and plants, and they will not be disturbed. So we have something called a zone that is a sacred zone on our plot where we will not harvest anything. So we started Dularia in 2018. So here you can see Dr. Abhinanda Bairagi, our financial administrator. She'll be speaking later today. You see Saraswati Murmu Baski, she's looking younger over here a few years ago. And she is the leader now of Dularia. And you also see beautiful Kodam, who unfortunately left us eventually because she got married into a village that is a bit further away from Dularia and was not able to find her way to come to work every day. And this was one of the things we realized early on, is that we need to design the process in a very socially sensitive way, because these are constraints that we had not realized. So a single woman will get married and sometimes she'll go into a village further away and we might lose her as a member. So we've learned a lot of lessons over the years. Nevertheless, this is the starting women's team of Dularia. When we started off, our land, which is a 0.8 acre plot that was very kindly given to me as a gift by my parents. Both of them are present here today, Ranu Dattagupta and Sushanta Dattagupta. My heartfelt thank you to both of them for donating this 0.8 acre plot. As you can see, the land on this plot, the soil on this plot was completely cracked and destroyed by more than 20 years of conventional chemical rice farming. There was not a single earthworm or any kinds of insects and beetles that are friendly to the soil ecosystem when we started. There was not a single tree. There was absolutely nothing. It was cracked soil. And this is the condition in which you find most plots of land in the surrounding area when they are not being pumped with deep tube well water. So what we did is we engaged first with, here I'd like to introduce my co-founder of Dularia, without whom this process would not have been possible. This is Yuval Leibovich from Israel. He had come and devoted 2 months of his time to design our permaculture process on Dularia. We started by making a plot, contour plot of our land. This is the shape and map of our land. And that is north on this map. And you can see that these are the contours along which water would naturally flow down. And what was happening is that when water was flowing down, it was taking away our entire topsoil with it, and along with it, all of the nutrition. So what Yuval did, and Yuval and I did this together, is we designed and executed a system of swales. So these are just, here you can see, it looks like we're standing in the middle of an Arabic desert, especially with Yuval in his traditional garb. And what you can see is we made these kind of ditches in which rainwater could be stored, and then these humps are called bunds. So when rainwater comes downslope, it gets stored inside these bunds, inside the swales. And then we filled the swales with large amounts of organic matter. So if you look at a forest, the soil is always covered with leaves and organic matter. And in most farmland in India, that aspect is completely missing. So we bought the cheapest organic matter we could find, which was rice straw from all the neighboring fields, and we bought a mountain of it. And we distributed it inside the swale systems. Here you can see rice straw inside the swales. And we also used another very inexpensive material, which is burnt rice husk. It's a waste product of the rice industry, and rice husk compost as well. And our ladies team from the surrounding villages, they came in and they have been working with us from the very beginning and have been learning all the permaculture principles as they have gone through the process themselves. So by doing this, what we did is we create a kind of sponge. So every time rainwater would come in, it would actually get soaked up by this rice straw. And on top of these buns, we also planted moong, which is a lentil, and this is a nitrogen fixing plant. So by doing so, what we did is we managed to restore the entire ecosystem. So what you can see now, just notice this hill over here, okay? This is the same bund. Now, after the very first monsoon rainfall, this is what it looked like. So you can see within the span of simply 4 months, we had transformed our land from this kind of a desert ecosystem to a lush green ecosystem where we now had a large diversity of birds, frogs, burrowing crabs, earthworms, beetles, and we did a survey in which we found all of these. We even had a large variety of snakes. So this is one of the issues we have in Dularia. We have lots of snakes, and we have lots of fish even. And the Sandhali women were so delighted because they could find organisms on this land that they had not seen in years in the surrounding plots. In September, we planted, here you can see we have planted pigeon pea in the monsoon season, and then in September, this is what it looked like. This is the exact same bund that we started off with. So this is what it looked like in February. This is what it looked like in July. This is what it looks like in September. And then, so this is the timeline. Let me just show you a little bit. This is what we did, and this is what it looked like. And within 1 year, we had got a forest, a primary forest on this plot. This was one of the major miracles of Dularia, is that by working with nature instead of against nature, we had converted a barren plot of land into a lush green forest within just 1 year. So this is a picture taken exactly 1 year after we started on that barren plot. And in 2 years, we had a full primary forest. Actually, sorry, this is in 3 years. So this is a recent photo taken earlier this year on Dularia. So this is what we have now, is fully grown trees. We are now planting something called a food forest. I'll go very fast through this concept. It's a fascinating concept. What you do is you basically try to mimic how a forest functions. A forest has many different layers, 7 different layers to be precise. And so we plant edible trees in all of these different layers. For example, you can make vines of passion fruit. You can have a ground layer of turmeric and ginger. You can have burrowing root vegetables, and you can have different kinds of shrubs. You can have large mango trees. You can have smaller guava and lemon trees. So this food forest design is being done by Yuval Leibovich, our brilliant permaculture consultant. Thanks to COVID, he has not been able to come back to India since he started the project, but he's still working with us online. And here you can see this beautiful design he has made. That's the north side of our plot. And this is not what it looks like right now, but this is what it will look like in a few years. We'll have rice cultivation over here. We have vegetable garden. We have our building structures over here. We have a learning center and pavilion over here. And we have a large number and a large variety of edible fruit trees and also medicinal plants that are useful for traditional Santhali medicine. And one of our team members, Shona Murmu, is going to be telling us about how he makes medicinal potions out of these medicinal trees. So we started off, we needed human beings. Humans are the most important part of any project, and this is our very enterprising couple who are present today, Saraswati Murmu Baski, our leader, and her husband and manager of Dularia, Jitu Baski. And we also have this wonderful women's team. There are more women and there are more people than you can see in this photograph. These are the people who come and do the work on a daily basis in our plot. We needed a building, so we actually went to Nainital and collaborated with Gili Mitti. This is a natural building project. Shagun Singh, who is the leader of that project, the founder of our project, came to us and consulted us on how to make natural buildings on our plot. We have made some very innovative natural buildings so far. One of the buildings we have made is called an earth bag structure. In an earth bag structure, we use discarded cement bags, fill them with mud, and we staple them together using barbed wire. And this makes for a very, very stable earthquake resistant structure. And this is what we have been using as our manager home. So this is the bare bone skeleton. I'll show you a few more pictures when Jitu Baski talks later on. This is what it looks like after it has a roof and has partial plastering. And this is what it looks like finally, this beautiful, gorgeous building. You will never guess that it was made with discarded cement bags that were being discarded by all the construction sites in our neighboring area. We have also used discarded bottles. So we are into upcycling because this is an essential aspect of preserving nature. So here you can see a lot of discarded alcohol bottles that have been arranged in a particular way. This has all been shown to us. These techniques have been taught to us by Gili Mitti members, Shagun Singh and Soumya Tiwari. You'll be seeing photographs of them later in the talk. And here you can see this fantastic stained glass effect that these bottles have once they have been plastered with mud. So our local team has learned this entire process of making buildings with earth bag and with this method called wattle and daub. And using these methods, they can now run their own enterprises where they can teach other people to build buildings of this kind. They are very beautiful buildings. This is a building made entirely by our village team where we actually did not interfere at all. You can see these fantastic tiles from Jharkhand, which are handmade in a pottery village. And you can see that glass bottles have been used by our village team, and they have made the structure using the wattle and daub method. And this is a brick structure, which is done without using a single bit of cement. So our entire building structures have been made without any use of cement because cement is extremely harmful for the environment. I can tell you more about it when we have a question and answer. So here the bricks have been, the mortar that is used to put the bricks together is actually just mud from our plot. And this is a traditional method that has been forgotten now, but it's equally strong as cement. This is what our building looks like now. And here you can see that we have our leader Saraswati planting rice. So this is one of our enterprising ideas, is that we are growing natural varieties of rice using 100% natural farming methodology. So replacing the toxic methods I talked about before, now we are planting using rainwater, which is inside our barns. You can see this beautiful forest that Dularia is. Here you can see the earth bag building in the background. And all of this is rainwater, and we have not used any compost at all. So we have, sorry, not any fertilizer at all. We have only used compost from our plot. So we have not even used organic fertilizers like cow dung. The entire rice farming has been done by compost that is being made naturally inside our swale systems. So not only are we not using any chemical fertilizer or pesticide, we are also not using organic fertilizers or pesticides. There's no need because our soil is so healthy that the plants can grow and they have a strong immune system. So there is very little need for any kind of pesticide or fertilizer. So what do we do now is we invite farmers from neighboring areas and we give them education on all our methods of building and farming. And this education is given completely for free. And these farmers then are now slowly adopting our methods. In this photograph, you can see our very brave and courageous Churki Soren. She is one of our team members. And in this photograph, this is a historic moment where she stood up in front of everybody. And now this is really something amazing for a Santhali woman to have the courage to stand up in front of her community and say, I will stop doing chemical farming. Because she has a story in which she actually had an almost fatal condition because of farming using chemicals. And she says, I will not let my children and grandchildren suffer in the same way that I have. So she is actually a widow and she owns some plots of land that have been lying fallow. And so now Churki Soren is one of our brave community members who has pledged to shift to natural farming, and Dularia will support her 100% to make this shift, including giving her all of the information, all of the technology she needs, as well as access to a hand tractor or whatever she needs in order to do this work. So this is my very quick and short bit about Dularia. I will soon pass it over to other members of my team to speak about it more. But I want to end by saying that Dularia has been a place of miracles for me. Personally, it has been a massive inner transformation for me. And here you can see what is possible when people come together with their hearts in the right places. So the top photograph is taken in 2018, January. And the same area that you can see below, here you can see it's thriving with life in 2020. So we have a beautiful little baby who has been born to Jitu Baski and Saraswati Baski. Onoli, and she is our newest member of Dularia. And this entire place is teeming with life and lots of love. So I will be very happy to answer any questions. I can see a few people have raised their hands, and I'll be happy to answer questions at the end of the talk. But I would now like to introduce and pass it on to my wonderful colleague and team member, Abhinanda Bairagi. Please take it over, Abhinanda.
Yeah, namaskar. Hello, everyone. I am Abhinanda Bairagi, and I function as the financial administrator of Dularia. I oversee the financial undertakings of our organization, help in keeping accounts of debits, credits. I help with banking and auditing matters. Professionally, I am into academics. I'm a teacher, and I did my PhD in biology from Vishabharati University, Shantiniketan, and I reside permanently in Shantiniketan. I met my friend Sharmishta in the summer of 2017, and as we shared our thoughts, we realized that we have certain things, but certain common interests in the field of environment, health, yoga, and meditation. Dularia was budding in the heart of my friend at the time, and she told me about permaculture, its regenerative techniques, its principles, and her dream of planting a food forest and a natural organic farming in the land where Dularia is now taking its shape. I was very much attracted and I was inspired by her dedication and her passionate intention to empower the tribal women, to educate their children, and to bring forth the natural and the innate talents and the creativity of the young children, those were surrounding us. And as a teacher for the past 16 to 18 years, I see how parents nowadays push their children only to memorize the syllabi, and we totally ignored their natural qualities. That was a thing that was very attractive to me, that Sharmishta was doing certain things very passionately, and that was a thing that was the very need of this modern times. In course of time, I too developed a connection with the tribal Santal school, with the tribal village, with Saraswati, with Jitu and others, and I held hands with Sharmishta in spreading harmony along with a mindful connection with nature. Dularia, as Sharmishta has told, has always been a place where you come to meet talents from near and far, and it's a very, very promising place where you get to learn to know a lot of things. We were introduced to the practical permaculture techniques from Yuval, the co-founder of Dularia, and our permaculture consultant from Israel. Yeah, here you see Yuval in Dularia in the early 2018, when the land was almost barren, when we were just digging the swales and the bunds. Then we learned some more from Antonio, our permaculture volunteer from Italy, who came later in 2019. Yeah, this is Antonio and the little baby of Jitu and Saraswati, Anoli. Then we had Marcelo from Brazil, who works with the tribes in the Amazon forests. Yeah, this is Marcelo. We had a workshop with Marcelo, and he taught us how to build our own solar lamp. This is all the tribal children from the neighboring NGO with Datshram along with Marcelo. Beautiful Miri from Finland. She was our volunteer, photography volunteer. Yeah, this is Miri, our photography volunteer from Finland. Here she is showing her photographs to the tribal women team. This is a Dularia plot, and there we were to build our building. There's the background there. Ishani, she is here, the most talented and sweet Ishani. She is our YouTube video editor. Here you see Ishani. This is a photograph in the background of Dularia hut. Meet our friends Shagun Singh and Soumya Tiwari from Nainital-based Gili Mitti, a natural building organization. This is Shagun, and this is our Dularia hut, Soumya Tiwari. They helped us to build our lovely Dularia hut and kitchen, as you saw earlier, decorated with used alcohol bottles for reflecting sunlight, creating a wonderful look. This is Soumya. Then we met Mani Mahesh Arora from Jammu. Mani Mahesh, our social entrepreneurship consultant. Here you see Mani. And we are having a meeting inside the Dularia hut. You can see the tribal women here, Sharmishta, Mani. Very talented Iknoor from Punjab. He is our website designer. Here you can see Iknoor. Yeah, this is him, Mani Mahesh and Iknoor. He is our website designer. Our very musical Anand Vardhawaj from Himachal. He was also a photography volunteer. Yeah, this is Anand. Very witty, very musical. As our guardians and advisors, we have with us Professor Shushanta Dattagupta, our uncle. My thanks and regards to him, and Rahul Bose, co-founder of Suchana, a sister NGO located close to Dularia. They are our guardians and advisors. So we have a very rich team in Dularia who nourishes and enriches Dularia in every possible ways. There's always more to learn, to know, and to implement when you are with all these people in our organization. So this pandemic has really taught us or has given us a wake-up call to lead a more meaningful and a more wholesome life, and to choose to balance ourselves along with the environment, with nature, and to adapt to the natural ways of nature, to care more for nature and pass these thoughts and ideas to our next generation. Dularia will surely pave a way so that we learn to look deep into nature, and in that way we learn to understand ourselves and everything around us better. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abhinanda. Thank you so much for your wonderful contribution to this conversation today. I'm going to now pass it on to the leader of Dularia on the ground team, and that is Saraswati Murmu Baski. Saraswati, এরপরে তোমার টার্ন, তুমি আছো এখানে? Saraswati? Please give me a moment to see. There she is. So Saraswati, please go ahead and present to us. Saraswati, আমাদেরকে একটু বলো, শোনাও. And everybody who's not able to understand Bengali, you can look at the translation of what Saraswati is saying in the chat box, which Ishani will be providing for us. Saraswati, তুমি এখন বলতে পারো.
জোহার, আমার নাম সরস্বতী মুর্মু বাস্কি। আমার গ্রামের নাম বিষ্ণুবাটি। আমি ছোটবেলা থেকেই স্বপ্ন দেখি যে নিজের পায়ে দাঁড়াবো, কিন্তু সেরকম কোনো সুযোগ আমি পাইনি। তো হঠাৎই ভাগ্যচক্রে শর্মিষ্ঠাদির সঙ্গে আলাপ আমার 2017 সালে। তারপর থেকেই আমি দিদি এবং ওনার সংস্থার সঙ্গে যুক্ত হয়ে পড়ি। প্রথমে যখন সংস্থায় যুক্ত হই তখন এই সংস্থার কোনো নাম ছিল না। তো দিদি আর আমি মিলে ভাবলাম যে এই সংস্থার একটা তো নাম দেওয়া উচিত। তো দিদি আর আমি মিলে একটা নাম, এই সংস্থার নাম দিই দুলারিয়া। তো এরপর থেকেই দিদির কাছ থেকে আমি বায়ো এনজাইম সম্বন্ধে হাতে কলমে শিখি এবং বায়ো এনজাইম আমি নিজের হাতে তৈরি করি ও ছোট্ট একটা প্রশিক্ষণ দিই আরএসবি স্কুলে।
হ্যাঁ, বলো সরস্বতী।
তো এখন আমি বর্তমানে দুলারিয়ার একজন লিডার। যখন দুলারিয়াতে কোনো অতিথি আসেন ওনাদের আমি ছোট্ট ট্যুর দিয়ে থাকি। তো এই দুলারিয়াতে এখন পর্যন্ত কি কাজ আমরা করেছি এবং আগামী দিনে কি কাজ আমরা করতে চলেছি তার একটা ছোট্ট ট্যুর আমি দিয়ে থাকি এবং দুলারিয়ার সমস্ত অঞ্চল আমি ওনাদেরকে ঘুরিয়ে দেখাই। প্রথমে যখন আমি দুলারিয়াতে যুক্ত হই তখন একেবারে দুলারিয়ার যে জায়গাটা ভীষণ মানে একেবারেই বলা যায় যে মরুভূমি এবং সমতলটা বড় বড় ফাটলে ভরা ছিল। তারপর কিছুদিন পর ইউভিদা আসেন এবং দুলারিয়ার শুরু হয় মাটি পর্যবেক্ষণ এবং নালা তৈরি করা। যখন আমরা নালা তৈরি করছি তখন দেখা গেল যে মাটির এত গভীরে খনন করার পরও আমরা কোনো কেঁচুর দেখা মানে আমরা পাইনি। তো তখন আমরা ভাবলাম যে মাটিটা কিভাবে আমরা উর্বর করে তুলতে পারি। তো সেই হিসাবে আমরা সারা জমিতে ধানের তুষ এবং ছাই গোটাই ছড়িয়ে ফেলি এবং মুগ ডাল এবং অড়হর ডাল আমরা চাষ করি। তো কিছু মাসের মধ্যেই আমরা দেখি যে প্রচুর পরিমাণে কেঁচোর জন্ম হয়েছে এবং মাটিও অনেকটা উর্বর হয়েছে, সতেজ হয়েছে। তারপরে দুলারিয়াতে একটা ন্যাশনাল বিল্ডিং এর কাজ শুরু হয়। ন্যাশনাল বিল্ডিং এর কাজ শুরু হওয়ার সময়ে আমি নিজেও সেখানে যুক্ত ছিলাম, কাজ করেছিলাম, এবং হাতে কলমে সেখানেও আমি অনেক শিক্ষা পাই শাগুন্দি এবং সৌম্যাদির কাছ থেকে। তো তারপরে সেই কাজ চলাকালীনই দেখা গেল যে আমাদের দুলারিয়ায় প্রচুর পরিমাণে আপনা আপনি গাছ জন্মেছে এবং মানে দুলারিয়ার সারা অঞ্চলটা সবুজে সবুজে ঘেরা। কিছুদিন পরে আমাদের মার্শেলদা আমাদের কাছে আসেন দুলারিয়াতে। তো ওনার কাছ থেকে আমরা সোলার, আমি এবং জিটুদা সোলার ল্যাম্পের একটা প্রশিক্ষণ পাই। তো এই প্রশিক্ষণের মধ্যে আমি অনেক কিছু শিখি। এখন আমি সোলার ল্যাম্প তৈরি করতে পারি এবং আমাদের পরিবারে সোলার ল্যাম্প আমরা ব্যবহার করছি, এবং এই সোলার ল্যাম্প নিয়ে আগামী দিনে একটা প্রশিক্ষণ দেওয়ার ভাবনা আছে। দুলারিয়াতে যখন বিল্ডিং এর কাজ প্রায় সমাপ্ত, তখন আমি ভাবলাম যে মাটি যখন আমাদের এত উর্বর হয়ে গেছে, তো এই মাটিটা পরীক্ষা করা উচিত। তো তখন কি করলাম যে না, আমি এবং জিটুনা মিলে ভাবলাম যে না, গোবিন্দভোগ চাল এখানে, মানে গোবিন্দভোগ ধান আমরা এখানে চাষ করে দেখব। তো এই বিল্ডিং এর সামনেই যে ফর্মটা আছে সেখানে আমরা এই চাষের জমি তৈরি করে ফেলি এবং সেখানে ধান পোতা সম্পূর্ণ হয়। যখন আমি ধান পুঁতি তখন আমি একটা জিনিস অনুভব করলাম খুব ভালো করে, যে আমার হাতে পায়ে কোনো র্যাশ চুলকানি এসব তো হলো না। তো আমি ভাবলাম কেন এটা এরকম হলো, যে যেহেতু আমি অন্যজনের জমিতেও ধান পুঁতে থাকি, তো তখন আমার র্যাশ চুলকানি এটা মানে সর্বদাই হয়ে থাকে। তো এখান থেকে আমি একটা জিনিস খুব ভালো করে বুঝলাম যে জৈব সার দিয়ে যদি আমরা কোনো কিছু উৎপাদন করি এবং সেটা শরীরের ভেতরে কিংবা শরীরের বাইরে কোনো অংশেই ক্ষতি করে না। এরপর কিছুদিন যাওয়ার পর মাত্র 3 মাসের মধ্যেই আমাদের এই গোবিন্দভোগ ধান পেকে একেবারে মাটিতে শয্যাশায়ী। তারপর আমি এবং আমার এক সহকর্মী মিলে ধান কাটি এবং শুকিয়ে আটি করে বেঁধে ফেলি। তারপর একেবারে পুরোনো দিনের মানে ব্যবস্থাপনাকে অনুসরণ করে আমরা পাটার মধ্যে একের পর এক ধানের আটি আছাড় মেরে ধান ঝরাই এবং কুলো দিয়ে পাথরে একেবারে পরিষ্কার করে ফেলি। আমাদের দুলারিয়াতে প্রায় 45 কেজির মতন আমরা এই গোবিন্দভোগ ধান উৎপাদন করতে পেরেছিলাম। এই গোবিন্দভোগ ধান বিক্রি করে, গোবিন্দভোগ ধানের চাল বিক্রি করে যে উপার্জন মানে করতে চায় এবং পরিবারকে সাহায্য করতে চায়। দুলারিয়ার 4টে দিক আছে, আমরা এই দিক নির্ধারণ করে কাজ করি। সেই দিকগুলো হলো শিক্ষা, পরিবেশ, স্বনির্ভরতা এবং আত্মবিশ্বাস। আমি এই দুলারিয়া থেকে অনেক কিছু শিখেছি, এখনো পর্যন্ত শিখছি। দুলারিয়া আমার জীবনের এক জীবন্ত স্বরূপের লক্ষ্য। এখান থেকে আমি অনেক নতুন নতুন শিক্ষা পেয়েছি এবং হাতে কলমে সেটা শিখেওছি। দুলারিয়া থেকে আমি উপার্জন করতে চাই এবং নিজে আত্মবিশ্বাস নিয়ে এখন পর্যন্ত কাজ করে চলেছি। আমি দুলারিয়াকে ভীষণ ভালোবাসি এবং দুলারিয়ার একজন হয়েই থাকতে চাইছি। আর অনেক ধন্যবাদ দিদি শর্মিষ্ঠা দি এবং বিচিত্রা পাঠশালাকে আমাকে এত সুন্দর সুযোগটা করে দেওয়ার জন্য। নমস্কার এবং জোহার।
খুব দারুণ বললে সরস্বতী, very very well spoken by Saraswati, our leader, and I hope you were able to follow the translations. Thank you so much Ishani for the translations that you gave in the chat box. So in very brief, Saraswati talked about her journey of starting with bioenzymes and then going on to being part of the land restoration process that I've already spoken about. And then she talked about how she took the initiative along with her husband for growing a variety of rice called Gobindabhog, which is an ancient variety of rice that is now disappearing in West Bengal, but is actually highly nutritious and fragrant. And yes, she is our very valued leader. And I will now pass it on to Jithu Baski, her husband and also manager of Dularia. Jithu da, এখন আপনি বলুন।
জোহার, আমার নাম জিঠু বাস্কি, আমি দুলারিয়ার ম্যানেজার। আজ থেকে 4 বছর আগে যখন সরস্বতী দুলারিয়ার সঙ্গে যুক্ত ছিল, তখন সরস্বতীকে আমি দুলারিয়াতে দিয়ে আসতাম। সেই সূত্রে সুরমিষ্টাদির সঙ্গে আমার আলাপ হয়। আলাপ হওয়ার পর সুরমিষ্টাদির সঙ্গে ফার্মাকালচার নিয়ে অনেক কথা শুনলাম, ওনারা কি কি কাজ করছেন, কি কি কাজকর্ম করবেন, সেই সব কথা শুনে আমি আকৃষ্ট হলাম। আকৃষ্ট হওয়ার পর উনি বললেন যে এরপর আমরা আর্থ ব্যাগ হাউস বানাবো, যেগুলো ফেলে দেওয়া হয়, যেগুলো ব্যবহার করা হয় না, সেই সব জিনিস দিয়ে আমরা পুরাতন জিনিসকে ফিরিয়ে পাওয়ার জন্য আমরা কিছু করব। যেমন আমাদের শহর অঞ্চলে বড় বড় সিমেন্ট দিয়ে বাড়ি হচ্ছে, বড় বড় ফ্ল্যাট বানাচ্ছে, অট্টালিকা বানানো হচ্ছে, সেই সিমেন্টের বস্তাগুলো কিন্তু ফেলে দেওয়া হয় কিংবা পোড়ানো হয়। সেই সব সিমেন্টের বস্তা আমরা পুরো কালেকশন করে, পুরো ভালো করে পরিষ্কার করে আমরা সেটাকে সুন্দরভাবে মাটি ঢুকিয়ে সেটা একটার পর একটা বাড়ি তৈরি করতে থাকি। প্রথমে বলি যে যখন আমরা ভিত তৈরি করি তখন আমরা কিন্তু চুন সুরকি ব্যবহার করেছিলাম। চুন সুরকি আগেকার দিনে ব্যবহার করা হতো, এখন কিন্তু সেটা ব্যবহার করা হয় না। কারণ চুন সুরকি আজ থেকে 100 বছর আগে সেটা যেমন রেলের প্ল্যাটফর্ম, বড় বড় মসজিদ, গির্জা, মন্দির বানানো হয়েছে, কিন্তু এখন অব্দি সেগুলো কিন্তু ভাঙেনি। কিন্তু সিমেন্ট দিয়ে বেশি টিকসই হচ্ছে না, বড় বড় ফ্ল্যাট ভেঙে যাচ্ছে। সেই জন্য আমরা প্রথমে চুন, ইটের গুঁড়ো, গুড়, সেটা ভালো করে মিক্স করে একটু পচিয়ে সেটা আমরা ব্যবহার করেছি। যেমন আমরা তো যদি ইয়েটা করি, ইটের গুঁড়ো যদি করতে হয় তাহলে আমাদের সময় লাগবে। আমরা একটা রোলার জোগাড় করলাম, রোলার গাড়ি নিয়ে আমরা প্রথমে গুঁড়ো করলাম খুব সুন্দর করে। গড়ার পর সেটা ভালো করে পচন ধরে তারপর আমরা চুন সুরকতে তৈরি করে করার পর এখন আমরা পুরো শিখে গেছি কিভাবে আর্থ ব্যাগ বাড়ি বানাতে হয়। এটা আমাদেরকে শিখিয়ে দিয়ে গেছেন আমাদের নৈনিতাল থেকে গিলি মিট্টি, শগুন সিং আর আমাদের সমিয়া তেওরি। আমরা এখন নিজেরাও এখন করছি, আমরা এখন অনেক শিখেছি। আর একটা আমরা তার সাথে সাথে একটা সুন্দর কিচেন, ঝিটে বেড়া, কম সময়ের মধ্যে কম খরচায় ঝিটে বেড়া কিভাবে বানানো হয় সেটাও আমরা শিখে গেছি। যেমন এখন বাথরুম গুলো কিন্তু হয় সব সিমেন্ট দিয়ে, আমরা বাথরুমটা পুরাতন পদ্ধতিতে গাড়া গাঁথনি দিয়ে বাথরুম তৈরি করেছি। আমরা এবছর মার্চ মাসে আমাদের চাষিদেরকে নিয়ে কয়েকটা গ্রাম নিয়ে আমরা একটা ওয়ার্কশপ করেছিলাম। সেটা আমাদের সাহায্য করেছিলেন জম্মু থেকে মণিমহেশজি। উনি খুব সুন্দর করে কিভাবে চাষাবাদ হয় রাসায়নিক সার বাদ দিয়ে সেটা উনি খুব সুন্দর করে বোঝালেন। চাষিদেরকে নিয়ে প্রশিক্ষণ দেওয়া হলো। চাষিরা এখন জিজ্ঞেস করেন যে এরপর কবে ট্রেনিং হবে, কবে আমরা ট্রেনিং পাবো, এরপরে কি চাষ হবে, কিভাবে চাষ করা হবে, মাঝে মাঝে আমাদের কাছে খোঁজ নেন। আমরা যখন আর্থব্যাগ হাউস বানিয়েছিলাম সেই সময় যখন বানাই তখন প্রথমে যেটা বস্তাতে গোল গোল করেছিলাম, তখন কিন্তু মানুষ দেখতো যে এটা আমরা বাড়ি, তোমরা বাড়ি বানাচ্ছ না এটা কুয়ো বানাচ্ছ। ওরা সবাই হাসতো, অনেক কিছু গালমন্দ করতো, তোমাদের কি দরকার এসব করার। তখন মানুষ অনেক কিছু বলতো, না ঠিক আছে তোমরা দেখো। যখন বাড়িটা কমপ্লিট হয় তখন এটা তো খুব সুন্দর বাড়ি, এত সুন্দর ঠান্ডা ঘর, এসি এত সুন্দর হয় না, ফ্যানও দরকার হয় না। এখন মাঝে মাঝে আসেন বিভিন্ন শহরাঞ্চল থেকে যে এটা বাড়ি কিভাবে করেছো। যখনই রাস্তা দিয়ে অনেকজন পেরোন, এখন আমাদের এই বাড়িটা এমন একটা অবস্থায়, এখন একটা মডেল হাউস মতন হয়ে গেছে। ওনারা এখন যেই যান পাশ দিয়ে ওনারা সেলফি তোলেন, জিজ্ঞেস করেন কিভাবে হয়েছে, আমরা কিভাবে করলে এটা আমরা করতে পারবো। আমরা বলি যে ঠিক আছে, আমাদেরকে পরে খবর দেবেন, আমরা করব। এটা করার পর আমরা এখন ফুড ফরেস্ট করছি আস্তে আস্তে। এখন কিছু গাছ লাগানো হয়েছে, কিছু গাছ অলরেডি আমরা লাগিয়ে দিয়েছি। আমাদের ইউবিদা একটা পুরো দুলারিয়ার যে ছক, যেটা নকশা উনি পাঠিয়ে দিয়েছেন, সেই অনুযায়ী আমরা এখন করছি বর্তমানে। আর আমরা আরো গাছ আগামী দিনে লাগাবো। আর এই অনলাইনে কথা বলার জন্য যারা ব্যবস্থাপনা করেছেন তাদেরকে সবাইকে জোহার, নমস্কার। সবাই ভালো থাকুন, সুস্থ থাকুন, জোহার।
অনেক ধন্যবাদ জেঠুদা, খুব সুন্দর করে বললেন। আর থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ ইশানি ফর দ্য স্পন্টেনিয়াস ট্রান্সলেশন. So Jithu Baski, he's our manager, very talented, and he talked today in a nutshell. I will describe what he said. He talked about his time since he joined us in 2018, and now he has become an expert in making earth-back buildings. He's become an expert in building with bamboo and discarded glass bottles. And he's now able to teach this to other people, and he's also in charge of informing farmers in the neighboring areas and teaching them our methods. So onek dhonnobad Jithuda. And Johar is the greeting of the Santhali people, and this means the connection of heart, hand, and wisdom of the third eye. So this is what we are greeting everybody with, and I will pass it on to our team member Shona Murmu for the next part. Shona da, apni ekhon bolun please.
জোহার, আমার নাম সোনা মুর্মু, দুলারিয়ার একজন সদস্য। দুলারিয়া থেকে 1 কিলোমিটার দূরে বিদ্যাধরপুর গ্রামে আমি থাকি। আদিবাসী গ্রাম্য পরিবেশের মানুষ। পেশায় আমি শিল্পকর্ম এবং গ্রামের মানুষ। গ্রামের থেকে ছোট থেকে বড় হয়েছি, গ্রামের মাঠ ঘাট, নদী নালা, পাহাড় পর্বত, রোদ বৃষ্টি এইসব নিয়ে, এবং গ্রামের থাকি। এবং পরিবেশে যেসব জিনিস যেমন গাছপালা নদী নালা যেমন পরিবেশে যেগুলো পাওয়া যায় গাছপালা ফুল ফল এগুলো দিয়ে গহনা ও ঘর সাজানোর জিনিস তৈরি করি, যেমন তাল পাতার কানের দুল, খেজুর পাতার কানের দুল, বেনা ঘাসের বালা, লকেট এবং কাঠের বানাম ইত্যাদি, চুড়ি, এবং দুলেরিয়াকে আমি খুব ভালোবাসি। দুলেরিয়াতে যারা কাজ করে বা দুলেরিয়া যারা কর্মী, আমরা সবাইকে খুব ভালোবাসি, ভালোবাসার সঙ্গে কাজ করি এবং দুলেরিয়াকে এই জন্যই ভালোবাসি, দুলেরিয়াতে আমরা সবাই প্রকৃতিকে নিয়ে ভাবি ও কাজ করি এবং শালপাত এখানে আমরা বানাই মহুয়ার সিরাপ, কাঁঠালের সিরাপ এবং এগুলো বানাই এবং শেখাই এবং নিজেরাও শিখি। দুলেরিয়া যাতে পৃথিবী সারা দেশে পৌঁছায় দুলেরিয়ার কাজ, এবং গ্রামের মানুষ যাতে দুলেরিয়া থেকে, আশেপাশের গ্রামের মানুষ যাতে দুলেরিয়া থেকে তাদের রুজি রোজগারের পথ খুঁজে পায় বা আমরা এখান থেকে কাজ করে স্বনির্ভর হয়, এটা আমার আশা। এবং দুলেরিয়া যাতে পৃথিবীর সারা জায়গায় নাম পায়, এই আমার ইচ্ছা। আশা করি আপনারা ভালো আছেন। ধন্যবাদ। জোহার, সুস্থ থাকুন, ভালো থাকুন।
অনেক ধন্যবাদ, Shonada. So Shonada has spoken to us, and I hope you all appreciate that this is the very, very first time our village team is speaking to a large audience on Zoom. So it is really a huge event for them. I'm sure they're nervous while speaking, so please do give them your congratulations for having this courage. So Shonada talked today about the beautiful work that he does. He's actually a very talented medicine man. He makes these tonics that are great for tuberculosis, for different kinds of chronic diseases, using jackfruit, for example, or the holy plant, the tree flowers called mahua. And he also is a very talented handicrafts person. He will make all the furniture, and he will also give trainings on how to make handicrafts using natural materials, and this is also another source of income for our project. Finally, I invite our lovely and youngest member, Iti Malo. I have known her since childhood. She has grown up with our family, with our parents, and she will be the last to go. So Iti, your turn.
আমার নাম ইতি মালো, আমি একজন স্টুডেন্ট, বিএস সেকেন্ড ইয়ারে পড়ি। আর আমার শর্মিষ্ঠা দিদির সাথে পরিচয় অনেক ছোটবেলা থেকেই। আমি যবে থেকে শান্তিনিকেতনে এসেছি তবে থেকেই আমার পরিচয়। আর আমি দুলারিয়াতে শর্মিষ্ঠা দিদির সাথে যেতাম, অনেক কিছু দেখতাম। আর শর্মিষ্ঠা দিদির ব্যাপারে, মানে ওই দুলারিয়ার ব্যাপারে আমি ফার্স্টে জানতে চেয়েছিলাম যে ওখানে কি হচ্ছে। তো তখন বলেছিল যে ওখানে কোনো সিমেন্ট ছাড়া, কোনো রাসায়নিক জিনিস ছাড়া চাষ হয়, ওখানে একটা বাড়ি তৈরি হচ্ছে। তো ওখানে আমার খুব ইন্টারেস্ট ছিল, আমি যেতাম শর্মিষ্ঠা দিদির সাথে, দেখতাম। তারপর আস্তে আস্তে আমি ওখানকার 2020 লাস্টের দিকে একজন মেম্বার হলাম। তো ওখানটা আমার নিজের মনে হলো তখন। তারপরে ওখানে আমার কাজ হলো একটা ট্রাভেল কিটিং আর এক্সপিরিয়েন্স আর অনলাইন শপিং। ওখানকার মেয়েদের যে হাতের কাজগুলো আছে গ্রামের, এখন তো ওগুলো কেউ পড়েই না, সবাই এখন নতুন স্টাইলের জিনিস পরে। তো আমি ওটা চাই যে গ্রামের মেয়েগুলো হাতের কাজ জিনিসগুলো আমি সব অনলাইনে বিক্রি করতে পারি। আর দুলারিয়ার যে ধান চাষের থেকে যেই গোবিন্দভোগ চাল পাওয়া যাবে, আরো নতুন জিনিস পাওয়া যাবে, ওগুলো যেন অনলাইনে আমি বিক্রি করতে পারি। কারণ এখনকার তো ওই জিনিসগুলো কেউ মানে পছন্দ করছে না, আর নেই বলতে পারো। তার জন্য আমি ওটা চাই আবার নতুন করে ফিরে আসুক, আর এটা সবাই যেন জানতে পারে। আর ট্রাভেল ইটিং এক্সপিরিয়েন্সে যেটা এখনকার সব রেস্টুরেন্টে বা হোটেলে সব মানে ভেজাল টাইপের ফুড খাওয়ানো হচ্ছে, যাতে আমাদের স্বাস্থ্যের পক্ষে অনেক ক্ষতি হচ্ছে। আমরা এখানে নতুন ভাবে কিছু শেখাবো আর খাওয়ানো হবে। যেমন সব জায়গায় তো সোলার প্লেট বা চিনে মাটির প্লেট দেওয়া হয়, তো আমরা এখানে শাল পাতার প্লেট করা হবে। তো আর এখানকার যে চাষ করা ধান, সেখান থেকে চাল হচ্ছে, ওই চালটা আমরা ভাত করব। তারপরে ওখানে যে শাক সবজি যেখানে হবে, তো ওটা আমরা রান্না করে দেওয়া হবে। আর মাছ ওখানে চাষ করার চেষ্টা করব কোনো রাসায়নিক জিনিস ছাড়া। আর তার সাথে সাথে যে ডিমগুলো আজকাল ভেজাল হচ্ছে, তো ওগুলো আমাদের ওখানে মানে মুরগি চাষ হবে, ওখান থেকে ডিম পাবে, তো ওগুলো খাওয়ানো হবে, যাতে কোনো শরীরে না কোনো ইফেক্ট হয়। তার জন্য আমরা পুরোপুরি দেখব। আর এখন রেস্টুরেন্টে চাও খেতে গেলে তাতে ভেজাল হচ্ছে, তার জন্য আমরা চাটা একদম ভালোভাবে খাবো, যেটা কাড়া জিরে চা, লেমন গ্রেস এরকম জাতীয় চা খেতে পারবে এখানে, আর নিজেদেরও ভালো থাকবে শরীরটা, আমরা সেটা চেষ্টা করছি। আর দুলারিয়াতে আমি চাই যে সবাই স্বনির্ভর হোক, যে যার হাতের কাজ নিয়ে বা কিছু করে। তো আমি দুলারিয়াকে খুব ভালোবাসি। থ্যাংক ইউ শর্মিষ্ঠা দি, সোনা দা, জিটু দা, সরস্বতী দি, আরো যারা সবাই আছে মেম্বার, তাদেরকে নমস্কার।
Wonderful. Thank you, Iti, Malo. I feel very, very proud of this little girl. I've known her since she is 3 or 4 years old, and she's such a bright girl, full of talent. And so what Iti spoke about today is that she is going to be in charge of our online shop. So she's a very enterprising young girl, born into a very, very simple Bengali family. And she is going to be in charge of our tribal food eating experience. What you can see here is Saraswati actually teaches everyone to make plates out of sal leaves. Sal is the holy tree of the Santhal people, and we serve food that is grown locally, grown by us in an organic fashion, so that it's great for the health, great for the environment. She also talked about lemongrass tea and different kinds of health teas and herbal teas that we will grow on, using herbs on the plot. And we will also serve medicinal potions made by Shona Murmu. I hope you enjoyed our presentation today. It has been a huge event for us, especially because our team, our Santhal team, and Iti Malo, who is actually from a Bengali family, a diverse local team, and Dr. Abhinanda Bairagi were able to speak about this topic for the very first time. So thank you very much, Shubha Dashmolik, for organizing this, and for Bichitra Pathshala for giving us this opportunity. And thank you everyone in the audience for listening. And I now open it up for questions.
Yeah, so that was a wonderful presentation by Sharmishta and her entire team. We were actually mesmerized, we were spellbound listening to you and your personal experience, absolutely from at the ground level experience, so to say. So now all of you can, I mean, those who have questions, either you can post your question on the chat box or you can unmute yourself and ask a question. So we open it up to the questions. I see here Ardhindudai is here. Mr. Amolesh Mishra was also here. I don't see him now at the moment. So there are many environment enthusiasts who are doing similar kind of work, maybe in a different kind of ecosystem. So you please, whatever if you have any similar experience to share, or if you have any query, then please go ahead and initiate a conversation.
Shubha, I have a question.
Yes, please, yes.
Hello, my name is Raju Raman. I'm associated with the Bichitra Pathshala. So this was a fascinating experience of listening to what you have done in such a short time, from 2018 to now. It raises a lot of hope, creates a lot of optimism in these difficult times. My question to you is, how does this project sustain itself economically? And what are the kind of outlets that you have for the products that these friends talked about, which they're making? Because in your LinkedIn profile, I also read about the IDFC Bank, the Goethe Institute, and several universities in Germany. I happen to have worked with the Goethe Institute for 35 years before I retired in 2010. So I'm just a little curious as to how this project sustains itself economically, and what is the kind of assistance you get, and what is the outlet for the products that these people produce.
Thank you so much, Mr. Raju Raman, for this question. So when we initially started Dularia, it was funded, and it is still funded almost entirely by my own income. So I'm a life and leadership coach, and I make an income through organizations, through giving trainings to organizations like HDFC Bank and the Goethe Institute, for example. And at least 30% of my income goes to Dularia. So all of the land, the restoration work, all the buildings, everything has been funded by me personally. Mm-hmm. And the way in which we do things is we try to do it with very minimal costs. So, I'm just a single earner and an entrepreneur. So I also give a large amount of my time to Dularia. So it's not like I'm earning a huge amount of money. So we try to do things in a very innovative way, also because we want what we do to be able to be copied by other farmers who have very, very low income. So if the things we do are very fancy and take a lot of money, it wouldn't make sense. So that is one aspect of our income. A second aspect of our income, which is managed by our financial administrator, Dr. Abhinanda Bairagi, is that we have a trust, and we are able to accept donations from people within India. And so we have been actually receiving donations from very kind donors. Mm-hmm. And these donations have helped us to, for example, we're going to buy a tractor or give income to the village people. Mm-hmm. So all of the income that goes to the village people who come to work on our land is given through donations. Mm-hmm. And then finally, you asked about our products and where we will sell it. This is still in progress. One of the first things we are going to do is start village tours. So basically, anybody can come and join a Dularia tour, for which we will charge a certain sum as long as the person can afford it. And these tours are led by a wonderful leader, Saraswati Murmu Baski, and then also the tribal eating experience that Iti Malo described. Mm-hmm. So we will have a small cafe where they will be running, and so that is going to be one source of income. Also, in the future, we will have an online shop in which we'll be able to sell our produce, but we are not there yet. It takes a little while to be able to produce enough. And we are hoping and planning to engage a lot of farmers in the local area, because our plot itself is it's not possible to grow so much to be able to sell on an online platform with just our plot. So we have to first engage farmers in the neighboring area. So our first source of income of standing on our feet is going to be, first of all, Jitu Baski can teach people how to make mud buildings of these technologies, which are absolutely beautiful. And anyone who wants to make it on their plot, he can bring our team and teach them. That's going to be a great source of income. The tribal eating experience, and eventually selling our produce online and also in a small shop on our plot. Another way of making income is through education. So we do provide education absolutely free of cost to farmers who cannot afford it. But for people who can afford it, we will also give courses on topics such as permaculture, eco-villages, community living, mindfulness, and these courses will be offered on our plot in the beautiful premises for people to come from near and far, and the income from that will also go directly to Dularia. I hope that answered your question.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's really fantastic. Just a supplementary question. If somebody wants to donate towards a project, where does one find the details? How does one go about it?
I will send. Thank you so much. I will send.
No,
I should have probably put it up on this
even
talk.
if one wants to spread the word around to prospective donors,
yes.
one needs a kind of a reference point as to how to do it. You see, so that will be very useful if you can
thank you
forward
so
that.
much.
Right.
I will certainly. I will provide that information to Shubha Dasmolik, with whom I hope you are in touch, and there you will be able to see the entire.
We are very much in touch
scheme.
because we are both in
right.
Bichitra Pathshala. So you send it to her, and we will get to know about it.
Yes, I will certainly do that. I will certainly do that. Thank you so much for raising this question and for your interest.
Good. Thank you.
I also want to mention that we have a YouTube channel for Dularia, and in the YouTube channel as well, you will get the donation details.
Okay.
And there also, that's one way to spread the word about us. We're still working on our website. As I mentioned, we have as actually Abhinanda mentioned, we have a volunteer working on our website currently. So, I mean, we are simply a very small grassroots organization trying to get everything together in a short span of time. So website is not yet ready. It should be online soon. And in the meantime, you can look at our YouTube channel, and there you'll get information on donations.
Thank you. I certainly will do that. Thank you very much for this lead. I particularly asked this question because I know from all the organizations I'm associated with that the FCRA route is practically filled with a lot of obstacles at the moment, you see. So you have to depend on indigenous donations to a large extent.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And we want to depend on indigenous donations because, I've lived abroad for more than 17 years. And I've realized that in India, we actually have enough resources.
Yes.
We do not have to go abroad for getting resources. And local engagement, and also some engagement through a beautiful concept called CSR, for example, community supported agriculture, where we can sell our produce to members who are in the local area. That's going to be a way of engaging people much more. So our idea is not in order to gain huge sums of money, because what are we going to do with huge sums of money? We cannot show and demonstrate something with huge sums of money that can be replicated by very poor farmers. So instead, we want small amounts of money that can go a long way. And that we can get through local engagement, and mostly the encouragement that our team gets by people like you. If you visit us, that would be wonderful.
I certainly will. It's on the agenda. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Please do. Please do.
Thank you.
So
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any more questions? I would be happy.
I had one question in mind. This paddy cultivation was very interesting. They took the initiative to cultivate Govindabhog chal, and 45 kg, they said that was the produce. So I don't know whether that is a good amount or it should have been more. I have no idea. But anyway, but 45 kg seems to be quite a substantial amount. So that have they sold? Have they been able to sell in the local market, or what have they done with that 45 kg?
Okay. So Shubhama, I would love to pass this question on to our leader Saraswati. So I will ask her. Saraswati, হ্যাঁ সরস্বতী আছে তা আপনি সরস্বতীকে জিজ্ঞেস করুন তা বলতে পারবে সরস্বতী প্রশ্নটা হচ্ছে আমরা গোবিন্দভোগ ধান এইটুকু জমিতে 45 কিলো হয়েছে সেটা কি কম না বেশি সরস্বতী জিটুদা আপনারা একসাথে বলতে পারেন আর আরেকটা প্রশ্ন হচ্ছে যে ধানটা নিয়ে কি করা হয়েছে So question has been passed on to Saraswati and Jitu Vaski.
যে ধানটা হয়েছিল সেটা হচ্ছে 2 কাঠা মতন জমি ওটাতে অনেকটাই পরিমাণে বেশি হয়েছে আর সেই ধানটা আমরা এই বছর কিছু চাষিকে বীজ রোপণ করার জন্য দেওয়া হয়েছে এটা যাতে আরো ধারে পাশে যারা চাষিরা আছে যখন আমরা ওয়ার্কশপটা করেছিলাম সেই সময় কিছু চাষি বলেছিলেন যে তাহলে আমাদেরকে তো কিছু চারা দিতে হবে বিচন আমরা সেই হিসাবে কিছু বিচন আমরা কয়েকটা গ্রামে দিয়েছি চাষিকে
আচ্ছা
পরের বছর আরো বেশি আমরা সেটা আমরা যে পদ্ধতিতে চাষ করছি ওনারাও সেই পদ্ধতিতেই চাষ করছেন
আচ্ছা বাহ সে তো ভালো আচ্ছা আপনারা এবছর চাষ করছেন ধান চাষ এবছর
চাষ করছি এবছর চাষ করছি আমাদের অলরেডি জমি রেডি হয়ে গেছে শুধু মানে এটা তো মানে খুব মানে আগে লাগালেও সেটা হবে না বর্ষার ধানটা যেটা স্বর্ণ ধানটা হওয়ার পর এটা লাগানো হয়
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা আচ্ছা
কারণ এতে অনেক কম জল লাগে এবং সারও অনেক কম লাগে অতিরিক্ত জল হয়ে গেলে একটু নষ্ট হয়ে যাওয়ার মানে সম্ভাবনা থাকে সেই জন্য আমরা একটু
পরে লাগাচ্ছি বুঝতে পারছি বাহ তো খুবই ভালো কথা তাহলে এই ধান চাষটা তো খুব সাকসেস একটা ভালো সাকসেস স্টোরি বলতে হবে তো সেই রকম আরেকটা শুনলাম ওই ওষুধ ওই হার্বাল ওষুধ
Shubhamashi, sorry, maybe I'll just translate for those who cannot understand what was said very briefly. So what Jitu Vaski said is that for such a small plot of land, this is actually a huge produce of rice. He was very surprised. He had called me once and said, I cannot believe our plants are growing so fast and producing so much grain. So without any kind of fertilizer. And so it's a large produce for considering the small plot. And he also said that he has, we have saved the seed and we have passed it on to neighboring farmers who want to also learn natural farming and grow rice according to our methodology. So we're giving the seed for free to all the neighboring farmers. And Saraswati mentioned that this kind of farming with this rice has to be done a little bit later in the year because it is can be done only with pure rainwater and it does not require any kind of fertilizer. So they will wait until all the rice has been planted in the neighboring fields, until all that fertilizer from the neighboring fields has been flushed away and we have just rainwater, pure rainwater, and that's where this rice is going to be grown. Thank you. Shubhamashi, you had another question. Please continue.
না সেটা তোকে জিজ্ঞেস করে নিলাম যে whether this year they are planting or not. So he said yes. So that was my second question.
Yes, and you were asking about medicinal potions.
Medicinal. So because you have the expertise, so that can also be that knowledge can be propagated, and the medicines can also be distributed or sold or something, because that's a very important aspect also. The medicinal thing. So সেটাকে আরেকটু মানে অর্গানাইজড ওয়েতে করার জন্য ওদের কিছু পরিকল্পনা আছে কিনা সেইটা একটা জানার ছিল। মানে রাইস কাল্টিভেশনটা তো একটা ভালো সাকসেস স্টোরি এবং ওরা ছড়াচ্ছে, অন্য ফার্মারদেরকে উদ্বুদ্ধ করছে। তো সেই সিমিলারলি ওদের যে এই হার্বাল মেডিসিন নিয়ে যে প্রজেক্টটা, সেইটাকে আরেকটু বেশি মানে তার ফাউন্ডেশনটা আরেকটু বেশি শক্ত করে লোকজনের মধ্যে আরেকটু ছড়ানো এবং কিভাবে ইনকাম হতে পারে সেইটা নিয়ে কোনো চিন্তা ভাবনা ওরা করেছে কিনা, সেইটা আমার দ্বিতীয় প্রশ্ন ছিল।
Okay. So, এটা নিয়ে সোনাদা একটু বলতে পারেন কতটা সময় আছে, how much more time do we have,
আর 5-7
Shubha
মিনিট তো
Mashi? I
আছে,
know.
5-7 মিনিট তো আছে, সেটা অত চাপ
All right, so we have also a few other questions.
হ্যাঁ, সেগুলো
So
আমরা
maybe
নেব।
in
হ্যাঁ,
view of time, I will answer it. সোনাদা একটু ছোট্ট করে একটু বলবেন আপনি এখন পর্যন্ত কি কি ওষুধ বানিয়েছেন, কি কি এক্সপেরিমেন্ট করেছেন ওষুধ নিয়ে?
আমরা এখন কাঁঠাল এবং মহুয়ার সিরাপটা এখন বানাতে শুরু করেছি। সেটা হচ্ছে সিজন অনুযায়ী আমরা মহুয়া সময় আমরা মহুয়া কালেকশন করে রাখি এবং সেটাকে আমরা এটা বানাতে প্রায় 40-42 দিন মতো লাগে প্রসেসিং হতে, এটা রেডি হতে। তাই এখন আমরা মহুয়া কাঁঠালেরটা কিছু স্যাম্পল হিসেবে আমরা করেছি এবং যেটা আমরা করি এবং গ্রামে যারা দুস্থ রোগী টুগী যারা থাকে গ্রামে, তাদেরকে অনেক সময় কম পয়সায় দিয়ে দিই, মানে যেটুকু খরচা হয় সেটুকু খরচা পেলেই আমরা সেটাকে দিয়ে দিই। ওটা খুব সামান্য খরচা হয়, ওই কালেকশন করতে এটা একটু কষ্টকর। হ্যাঁ, এটা আমরা গ্রামের গরিব মানুষদের দিয়ে দিই অনেক সময়।
আচ্ছা, অনেক ধন্যবাদ. So what Shonada said, it's so sweet. He said that he has been collecting mohua. This is a very time-consuming process. And kathal jackfruit is pretty easy to get though. And he has been experimenting with these tonics, and so far he's been distributing it for free to the people who need it in the villages. In the future, what we will do is that we will try to make this a more organized process, where we will organize workshops where people from cities can come and learn from Shonada how to make these tonics themselves. So this is one way of spreading our message. We will also serve this in our tribal eating experience in our cafe, and we will make small bottles. Now the thing is, it has a limitation because, you know, we have to probably apply for certain standards if we want to sell it in the market. So we would rather, you know, have people come and learn and then make it themselves, so that we don't, you know, have to go through that entire procedure. But eventually, I hope we can also go through the procedure of very legally selling these medicines, because this is very much needed. Another thing we will do is that there is a Santhal Adivasi healer who has been using traditional medicine to heal people from all over India. And he works in Bardhaman, and he has been looking for a place to come and practice his medicine. So we are going to invite him also monthly. So anybody with any ailments can come and get treatment for free in Dularia. Of course, if somebody can pay for it, we will accept also payment and donations for that. It depends on how much a person can afford. So I hope that answered your question. I see a few more questions, and in view of time, let me just quickly go through the questions in the chat box.
There is a question: how far is Dularia from Shantiniketan? That I can.
Well, that's an easy question to answer. It is about 10 kilometers. I've been going by bicycle for most of my years, but only recently I started taking my father's nano car over there because we also had to transport things. So very close to Shantiniketan, and you'll also find it on Google Maps. And at any point you can go and visit. I don't need to be there. Our entire local team who you have been introduced to, they will coordinate everything. I will pass, you know, you can find my phone number on the Facebook page of Dularia and contact me through that, and also get my number from Shubha Dashmollik. And I'll put you in touch with our manager, Jithu Baski, and you can go and have a tour of Dularia. And also, if you feel like leaving us a donation, you can make that to our trust account. So that is that question. Now, I have a very interesting question. How can we incorporate the concept of Dularia in urban school level or encourage students? Please share your thoughts about this matter from Shapta Parna De, assistant teacher. Thank you so much for this question. We are, you know, I would like to pass this question on to Abhinanda Bairagi, who is also a biology school teacher, and perhaps she can answer this question of how we can engage school children in Dularia. Abhinanda, please go ahead.
Hello. So I'm also a school teacher, and First of all, nowadays the school is closed for the students, physical movement of the students. Anyway, we have YouTube videos of Dularia, which we can share through the virtual classes right now. That's one thing we can do right now for our students. And further, in course of time, we can have, or we can make another educational YouTube video for the urban school children that we can share with all our pictures and our small talks. We can make one. So right now we haven't made one for exclusively for the school children, but the videos we have uploaded in the website, those can be used to make the school children know or understand what we have done so far. Those are very interesting. The children will like it, I know. So that's
Thank you so much, Abhinanda. Yeah.
Because all the teaching
Sorry,
is
anything?
mode. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Very, very precise answer, because right now all the teaching is online mode. So that's a great answer. I would have not even thought of that answer, Abhinanda. Thank you for that. And in the future, I hope when things open up with COVID restrictions, we can actually invite school children also for workshops. And we really hope to have that also on our land eventually.
Yeah.
Abhinanda, would you like to say a little bit about thoughts on that, how to include school children in Dularia on the plot?
When the COVID situations are over, we can have small tours, because the small tour is included in the school syllabus. So we can have organized small tours for the children. But as I have said, the videos of Dularia available in the YouTube will be quite educative to the school children at this moment.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. And perhaps maybe we can even offer some classes online if anybody is interested. That would also be a possibility. So are there any questions I have not answered over here? Thank you so much for all the appreciation I've received. Thank you. Any questions further?
No, just one comment that the idea of food forest, that is also a very interesting idea. In India, do we have any such food forest as yet?
Yes, there are several permaculture projects distributed throughout India, and there are small and larger food forests in different parts of India. Goa has some great examples.
Oh,
We have many nice projects in India. Gili Mitti Farms is one of the permaculture projects where they are starting to plant there. There's Aranya Farms in Hyderabad. There's a great farm in Nepal called Hasera Farm. These are the farms I have personally visited, and there are many, many more. So this is something that is not new to Dularia, but perhaps, it's still very innovative. And we also have Smell of the Earth Farm in Shantiniketan itself, which has a small food forest.
I see. No, actually, one question has come up. Maybe that's the last question we'll take up. Rinku has asked this question. She needs a clarification that how can we incorporate, this we have done. Rinku's clarification is how you transformed arid land into a fertile land. First, you let the straw to degrade in the low-lying area in the rainwater. Then did you spread this all over the land to make it fertile?
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for this question. So yeah, absolutely right. It was the rice straw that rotted actually inside the swales, and it became compost in the swales. And so then we can take the compost from inside the swales and we spread that compost on the rest of the land. That is how we do it. We also have a lot of nitrogen fixing plants and trees on our plot. So these nitrogen fixing plants and trees, what they do is they release nitrogen through their roots, and they also encourage a lot of fungus, a lot of bacteria, and a lot of indigenous earthworms, beetles, etc. In fact, soil, if you think about it, in a forest, nobody goes and fertilizes a forest. And in a forest, trees and plants grow and produce for thousands of years. How does that happen? So humans have forgotten that actually. So soil, when it is healthy, you don't have to do much to revive it. So what we do is then when these plants, what we do is we use a method called chop and drop. So we literally chop off the branches of these plants and then we drop them on the land itself. When you chop a branch of a tree that is nitrogen fixing, the corresponding root also gets released into the soil, and that then releases the nitrogen also in the soil. So all the nutrition is actually provided by the plants and the organisms, the living organisms on our land. By allowing them to thrive, our soil is thriving. That is the way in which our entire soil has become so productive. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, so Rinku, I hope we have got a satisfactory answer. So thank you very much, Sharmistha, and your entire team for engaging us with your vivid description of the Dularia project and sharing your, the success as well as the challenges that you have faced. So all of us are looking forward to visiting Dularia as soon as the situation is a little better. I'm sure people will make a beeline to Dularia. So be prepared for that. And I hope you are also in Shantiniketan at that time. Don't be in the Rishikesh for so long. You come down to Shantiniketan and that is the time we will visit Dularia. So with that, I think we will close this evening's meeting. Thank you everybody for being here, for being proactive, asking questions and posting comments. A special thanks to Ishani for quickly translating all the Bengali discussion. And thank to all the speakers who have so freely shared their experiences and insights. So all the best to Dularia. We will meet again at Dularia hopefully very soon. So thank you very much, and we'll end the meeting here.
Johar.
হ্যাঁ, সবাইকে জোহার, যতবার জোহার, যতবার জোহার, যতবার
সোনাদা
Hi Shubha, can I say one thing? I'm so proud that I'm the connection between you and Sharmishta, that's all.
ওই primary connection গুলোই আমরা ভুলে যাই, তাই না? We take it for granted. We begin to take it for granted.
It was excellent, and thank you so much for giving this a chance. Fantastic.
Yeah, we all have enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
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 Bye.